it's been one of them. I've been working from home as we're in lockdown, Mart. Have you yet received your letter from Boris? I've got to show you this.
I've got to check my box outside. I think I may well have today because Mum got hers earlier on.
So if this gets uploaded to YouTube in many years' time, we'll be able to look back and go, "Oh God, that's when Martin and Dave were talking, and they were locked in, and Boris has told me officially to stay at home." So yeah, we've all got to stay at home, Mark. That's it now.
Yeah, because we've
the master says. So. do as the master says. And the other thing I thought we could talk about was you'd mentioned previously you wanted to do a rate thing. So I thought as a bit of a dry run.
Go through a whole load of stuff. You know, the Jaws movies, Star Wars movies, break up the Marvel ones because it's too much, and then eventually have like one big special where you do an entire rating of all the MCU movies.
Yeah. So what I thought, what
all the Batman movies, everything.
What I thought would be a good dry run to begin with, and would help us to practice, is if we discussed in some detail, and I'll keep my eye on length of time. We're okay. Is we would look at the following films, and I'm sure you're going to have your. There we go. Here we go. So I'm sure you would have your opinion on these. I thought we would be good to discuss and talk about our opinions on these films. Hopefully you can see them, and I will switch them this way for viewers that are in landscape or portrait. So these are the Indiana Jones films.
Other way. Oh, the Joneses.
So these are the Indiana Jones films, Martin.
These as well.
So
we're definitely going to disagree about this, as we've talked in the past.
Well, I thought this would be a good thing to begin with, and I could let you understand how wrong you are on a few things. So,
well, you could try.
Okay, so we'll start off with what some would see as the Holy Grail. Let's start off with the first one, which is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah. So, in the popular DVD format, for those that understand what these are still. So,
yeah, I bought the was it though the drawn covers like a crush back in the 90s, I think it was.
Oh, on the VHS.
Yeah, no. All on DVD. It was they did like artist covers and all that, all Drew Struzan style things.
Yeah,
like
that's what these are, mate.
The ones out the cardboard sleeves.
Yep, that's the one.
Sweet meats, yeah. Those are the ones that I had as well. Fantastic.
Right. So I think we'd better begin with
I
think we'd better begin with the fact that we both agree Raiders of the Lost Ark is magnificent. Is that right?
We both agree that Raiders... we'll pretty much agree that 3 out of the 4 films, I think, are magnificent. It's just degrees of magnificence.
Okay. So for me, Raiders of the Lost Ark is the definitive indie film. It's got everything. It's perfect.
Yeah, I can't...
filmmaking.
It was perfect. Is it my favourite? That's the battle between that and Last Crusade.
Okay, all right. So, and I knew this is where it would go pear-shaped in terms of whether or not you would agree, you and I would agree or not, because I think we need to segue neatly into the next part of the discussion, which is this monstrosity or Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
See, I really enjoyed it. I do. I think it's a cracking film. It's got Short Round, who's possibly one of the best sidekicks ever, and really should be the character to get the spin-offs nowadays. Rather than Old Man Indy, I would be looking at casting somebody as Short Round instead. You could have a fantastic... You imagine him now, though, being like Indy instead, being the action character. It could really work.
All right. This is where I am with Temple of Doom, and I think we've discussed this before. Temple of Doom starts off brilliant. It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark Part 2. It's got everything. You've got Kate Capshaw, Steven Spielberg's missus singing Everything Goes. You've got that wonderful opening sequence.
For Star Wars.
Yeah, it's a wonderful opening sequence. Cafe Obi-Wan, they go past. You've got Short Round. You've got the old Rolls Royce. It starts off brilliantly. Right? I'm not going to argue. Give me the antidote, Mr. Jones. Yes, yeah. Give me the antidote, Mr. Jones. He's wonderful.
Give me the finger.
Now.
And it's got one of the best death scenes ever. death by flaming kebab sword. How much better do you get than that? I mean, god damn.
Yeah, you know
Death
what?
by flaming kebab sword.
So you're a big Indiana Jones fan. You're going, right, this is it. It's got me now. I'm hooked. I've just done the big singing along number. I've had the flaming kebab death. I've had chasing around. Dr. Jones is drugged. It's all happening. What the hell happens in Act 2?
Well, we do get Dan Aykroyd with an English accent doing a little cameo role, taking them out to the plane. That's pretty cool.
Look, even the makers, if you watch the making, go on.
God, I'm going to say, and then it goes extreme sports.
If you watch the making of, even the makers, I think we're going, we need you to write a song. We'll do this, and it was so piecemeal, it was ridiculous. And the banquet for me
gave you a big action set piece, the plane crashing over the Andes and stuff, and them going out the plane in the inflatable raft somehow as a parachute, then landing, sledding, and then turning into a raft again in the water.
Yeah.
And then the sort of unconscious, woken up by the elephant and the fakir type guy.
Yeah, it goes downhill fast from the Indian village onwards, and then you've got the nightmare
meal. You've got to admit the meal's pretty funny. When they cut open the snake and have all the little snakes come out and the chilled monkey brains.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's so
and things like that.
It's awful, but I think the thing that spoils it, and you've already given an indication of what ruins Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom for me. Kalima! That's
right. But you've got. That's why this indie is the one that pushes most into horror. Out of all the indies, and that includes even, the first one where they melt the face off Nazis. This actually that's quite a horror. Hammer could have done this movie, doing the old Kalima, pull the heart out of somebody.
It goes from sort of Saturday afternoon, whipping the kids up sort of thing to dreadful in about 10 minutes.
Comedy luncheon.
The way they get rid of this evil blood-like juice that turns them into these sort of zombified creatures is they show them a bit of flame.
It plays with the horror tropes more than any other version. They're drinking blood. They're being turned into live zombies. Some guy's coming along in a flaming headdress and painted makeup and pulling your heart out with his fingers. It's as Hammer horror as a film's going to get, really. It's just that the thing that lets this movie down is it tries to be everything to everybody. It starts off as indie Bond. It goes indie comedy. It goes indie huge action set pieces. It goes indie horror. It tries to be everything to everybody. It's still really good. And I enjoy the horror stuff, obviously, far more than you do. The unfortunate thing is, it still places third on the list. No matter how much I could argue for it, I wouldn't place this higher than third. It would be the third placed film. So, it's the battles between Temple of Doom and My Dad's Come Along With Me film, and then it's Kalima,
all right,
and the piece of crap.
Well, we won't get to Crystal Skull yet. Let's do the next one, which is
it's the one film that I'd argue. It's the one film that Kate Blanchett being in it doesn't save, and Kate Blanchett being in a film saves everything.
Well, we'll come to Crystal. We'll come to Crystal Skull in a bit. Let's now forego the horror that is bricks and crocodiles and they found a brick that and whatever. Let's just skip over Temple of Doom and the Temple of Awful Ending, and let's go to let's go to now what I think we can both absolutely attest is a return to form with Last Crusade.
Yeah. Was it ever? That's why, for me, it's the fight between 1 and 2, which is Last Crusade, and the original. that's the absolute fight there, because they did bring it. They focused. They knew what they wanted to make. They knew what they wanted. That's my one problem, as I say, with Temple of Doom, is that it wanted to be everything to everybody. I enjoyed all the bits that they did, but when they did Last Crusade, they brought in a fantastic co-star with Sean Connery. What is he, like 10 years older than Harrison Ford, and they put him in playing his dad? You know, it just worked. Everyone was perfectly cast in it. It was fantastic. It's a battle then. It's that good. Is that the number one film? Is that better than Temple of Doom? That's the big argument for me. Because they're
I think
so good.
There aren't many films where they try and shoehorn in numbers of different films. So you've got the opening sequence with Young Indy, with River Phoenix, and actually very good.
And really well. Yeah, where did you pick up the scar bit?
Yeah. I mean, you know, let's be honest, Star Wars could have learnt a bit from that when they were trying to do the Solo film. They did everything
this
else.
is how
you work out how to
in snakes. I hate snakes. The scar on the chin. Various stuff without ramming it down your throat.
Yeah, so you had that. Then you had a bit more of an indie film, and going back to the school and seeing Denholm Elliott again, which we loved. You know, seeing Marcus Brody and going back to Egypt, and we love that.
Yeah,
that made it.
They use him as the educator, just to remind you, he's actually not a full-time action adventurer. He's an educator.
Yeah, and I think we love that, and we missed that. And then of course you go.
You like that all the time.
you go and pick up Henry, or go and try and rescue Henry. So then you've got the young indie film. Then you've got the bit more of the normal Indiana Jones film. Then you've got the rescue of Henry Senior. Then you've got the big battle at the end, and
that's it. You've got the reintroduction of Rhys Jones. Fantastic.
And I have to say, there's an awful lot of movie in that third film, and I mean, how well did Lucas do that?
It's focused. It doesn't shift genres. It stays with what it wants to be. It stays as an action adventure ripping yarn. It doesn't try and suddenly be a huge comedy. It doesn't suddenly try and be a horror film. It doesn't suddenly try and give you tons of action adventure. It stays as a ripping yarns type film, you know, a Boy's Own type film, a Alan Quatermain type film, and it stays like it. And it can give you a whole lot of different things then within that one genre, but it doesn't keep throwing you left and right and back again.
Yeah, I love Last Crusade. I think it's brilliant. I think I loved it as a kid, and I loved it now. I'm 40, and there's nothing not to like about it. I think it's fantastic. I think now we need to address the fourth one, and disappointingly, you choose this as the poorest one of the four. And to quote Last Crusade,
disappointingly, I choose this as the point. I spit on your grave.
To quote Last Crusade,
can I just say, Greaser Elvis Monkeys, fucking mutt, full stop. Jesus Christ!
hang on.
The only film, the only goddamn film where Kate Blanchett doesn't save it. How the hell is that possible? Kate Blanchett is brilliant in everything, but in this, even she flaming suffers with a crap bowl haircut. And no, it's just not, you know, you can watch it, but, you know, you don't enjoy it like the others. It's like the last few Police Academy movies, you know, it's got the same title as the others, but Jesus Christ, the heart and soul have gone out of it.
I have to say, you slate the fourth one. To quote Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, I'm going to quote the knight who's found and say, you chose poorly. Let me explain why. Crystal Skull is a better film than Temple of Doom.
Come on! I'm dying to hear this.
Crystal Skull actually is it's a return to form. It's a return to the former. Look,
euthanasia on you right now.
There are elements which I concede. No worse than Gulliver. There are elements, Mart, I have to concede, that don't work as well. The surviving a nuclear explosion in a fridge, okay. The monkeys with the mutt's hairdo, okay. The flesh-eating ants, okay. And the rather disappointing letdown of the end. But by no means does that make it worse than Temple of Doom. Temple of Doom was an appalling film compared to King.
Oh, no, 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 no. Temple of Doom commits the crime of trying to be too many things all the time. This commits the crime of having lost its goddamn soul. Jesus Christ. This is like somebody making a tribute to an Indiana Jones movie who's not a particularly good filmmaker. I couldn't believe that this was actually Spielberg. I mean, Jesus Christ. Some lovely looking shots don't make a flaming Indiana Jones movie. Oh, Christ. It was just wrong. It was poor in comparison to everything that they've done before. You've got to make Temple of Doom, even with all the flavour changes going on there, which spoiled it as an overall movie, it still felt like an indie film all the way through. It felt like, a follow-on film.
Oh, come on, look.
It doesn't.
Crystal Skull had got everything. We got Marion back.
It's a TV special of a movie.
We got Marion back. We got some closure on what happened with Henry.
Return of Marion was the best thing that it did.
We had Marion back. We had the return. We understood. We had some conclusion what happened with Marcus Brody. Obviously, Denholm Elliott had died, and Sean Connery chose not to do it. So there's two big. It was like
didn't do Wally. He's at home sipping from his wooden cup, fucking living forever now. No.
Yeah. Okay, but look, we now know what happened to Henry. We know what happened to Marcus Brody. It gave us everything. We got him still being an educator.
A lot more if I'd actually cared beforehand. If I'd somehow cared about it, that'd mean a lot more.
All right, but how would you have felt? Oh dear me. How would you have felt about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull had Star Wars' prequels not come out and ruined your nostalgia levels? You know how much I hate the prequels, and we will do those. But
the prequels don't kill me. I don't hate the prequels as much as a lot of people do. I certainly don't hate them as much as you do.
It's for another time. It's for another time. We may have to do a session per film. I think we'll ease our way in with Indiana Jones, Martin.
Yeah.
I think for me, undeniably, for first place, there's going to be a toss-up between Raiders and Crusade.
It is. But I can't believe that you've actually got a toss-up between third and fourth. I think Temple of Doom is unarguably the third place movie. It's without a doubt the third place movie. You can't make an argument that it's as bad as The Crystal Skull. It's tough to make an argument that any movie in something that strong could be as bad as The Crystal Skull.
Look.
The Crystal Skull was a TV special of an indie movie. As I say, it's a bad impersonation of an indie movie. Temple of Doom is an indie movie. It's not a perfect indie movie because it tries to be too many things, but it still feels like an indie movie.
I mean, look, I will concede both Temple of Doom and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull are better than what is the abomination that is Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. But
no, we're not talking about that right now. We're sticking to this. It's better than the abomination that is The Crystal Skull, where they try and have young son Shia LaBeouf, who's actually a good actor, but mad as a hatter, but they try and set up Shia LaBeouf to take over from it, and Shia LaBeouf is not the man to take over from it. As I say, I'll argue again, Short Round should have been the guy to actually take over. If they're going to do a younger guy again in there, you could cast a really fucking good Short Round, and it had hit all the reboot stuff that goes today. As Kevin Smith put it down, youth and diversity. It had hit you with both of those straight away.
Well, what more did you want from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? Ray Winston, double agent.
Jones movie is what I want.
Ray Winston, double agent, brilliant. John Hurt, great character. John Hurt, great character, brilliant character.
John Hurt, great, yeah, fantastic. The daughter was much better. Getting her back was the best sort of thing there. Putting Shia LaBeouf in was such a big big mistake. With him come the greaser monkeys, the swinging through the trees, the Tarzan.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
You know, all the shit, the red ants, the army ants sort of bit. As I said, Kate Blanchett ruined in a movie. How do you manage to ruin Kate Blanchett in a movie? She's brilliant.
She was hella.
She's
She was hella.
She's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
You could put her in anything. She's wonderful. And yet this is not a good role for her. It's as I said, it's an impersonation of an Indiana Jones movie. Temple of Doom was an Indiana Jones movie. As I say, it's not a perfect Indiana Jones movie because it tries to give you too many things. It tries to give you comedy indie. It tries to give you action indie. It tries to give you horror indie. It tries all of that stuff. The best Indiana Jones movies are the ones that concentrate on being a boy's own ripping yarn sort of thing. But Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it was a UFO movie. It just, something about it was just poor. And the fact that they actually tried to make the main character Mutt, that's always just a kick in the knack.
Yeah, yeah. No, I have to concede, Mutt in particular was a low point. He was terrible. He was, and the swinging monkeys were up.
Cold water on any hot spot that came in that movie.
Yeah.
And what the hot spot for me was going through the graveyards. I love that scene.
Yeah.
But it's every time Mutt popped, it's fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. Like I said, it is sort of like choosing which way you'd like to be murdered and your body dumped. You know, I'll go that way or other, or you know, yeah.
Well, I've always chosen that. I mean, obviously, you know, sex-fueled drug death. There's no other way to go.
Get the tape out.
Death is more like it.
Get the tape out in the quick line. No, no.
Yeah, was it Pete Entwistle of The Who?
Yeah.
You know, high as a kite and having sex with a hooker.
So, it sounds like you've got your rating, Martin.
Yeah, I'm just choices 1 and 2.
Yeah, I know. And
very much sorted.
And I think I would go. Last Crusade is number 1 for those that can see this. So, Last Crusade is number 1 of the indie film. It is great. I'm sure anybody that
I'll agree on that.
I think anybody that watches this may comment or send us an insulting message about my beard or the choice or the argument. But
one of the few times that a sequel is at least as good, if not, because of the filmmaking involved in it and the budget that they had, they actually improved the movie and the casting and things like that. It's one of the few times that a sequel is better than the original.
Yeah,
I'll on that as number 1.
I love Last Crusade. It's brilliant. Brilliant now. It was brilliant then. I love it. Then we have to say Raiders of the Lost Ark is fantastic. Just brilliant. So number 2 is Raiders of the Lost Ark. 1.5. Yeah. Then I'm going to concede to you. So Temple of Doom is number 3. I think it's shit, right. But I think it's awful. But Martin's gone for Temple of Doom. I'm sure people watching are going to agree with me that this is an abomination of a film. Kalima!
And I will argue the point always.
And then, it is, Kingdom of the
Floater
is 4th, and Mutt does ruin it.
Floating in the cistern, you just can't flush it.
Yeah. But Last Crusade is brilliant.
Last Crusade, bloody ace. Sean Connery. Fantastic. You've got Bond and Han Solo teamed up. It's fantastic stuff.
It's amazing. You know.
It's just one of the mix-up with, you know, While I Was Sleeping With You and the mix-up father and son. They both obviously shagged that. Fantastic stuff.
It's tremendous. You can't watch Last Crusade and not enjoy it unless there's something wrong with you, or you're a fan of or you decide that you like. We know what I'm talking about. There's certain people that just enjoy a certain film because everybody else doesn't like it, or vice versa. And we know what I'm talking about. I bet he absolutely hates that. I bet he absolutely hates that. Oh, well, you know. I think it's great.
It's individual choice. I would argue that on the whole, I think that we've picked the right ranking for those films as they are currently standing. You know, we're waiting for the next one to see what comes out on it.
Well, the way coronavirus is going, I don't think there'll be an Indy 5. The way the studios are delaying everything. It's now 2022 at least, or 2023.
In that case, then I would argue for the short round film and have Harrison then as the mentor character in the background doing his dad sort of role.
But who played short round?
Who would play short round now? I'd really have to think about it. The guy who was in that's it. The guy who was in the recent Hellboy.
Yeah.
The in that, he's fantastic.
Okay.
Or the English Asian guy who's recently in Gentleman.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking on age differences there, considering how old Indy was supposed to be. He's probably about like 40 years older than Short Round, roughly.
Yeah.
You could argue between 30 and 45, I suppose. But,
yeah,
you know, one around that sort of... So, I can't remember his name. The actor he played the bad boyfriend in Always Be My Maybe recently on the Netflix comedy film.
I know who you mean. I mean, I don't know. I think they with Crystal Skull they'd set it up where we were going to get Mutt was going to have the mantle handed to him, but I just don't think it worked as well as perhaps they would have liked.
Oh, it didn't work in the slightest. It was one of the damning things about it. Who was in The Walking Dead? I think it's the same actor again that I'm thinking of.
The guy who played Glenn.
Yeah, Glenn.
I'm sure there'll be people, the few people who watch us.
Especially for Jamie's wife, Kate, Glenn.
I'm sure there'll be a few people watching this going, what? I know who it is. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he would be good actually. He wouldn't be a bad. He wouldn't be a bad.
He'd be fantastic. So he's done Hellboy. He's done action stuff. He's a great actor. Full stop. Loads of charisma. Fantastic guy. But I'll say also the guy who's recently done The Gentleman. He was in that as Dry Eye. He did that awful George Michael thing with the bird out of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Recently, he did that as well. The English guy, he's pretty cracking as well. I'm very impressed with him as an actor.
Cool.
Those two really stand out to me at the moment. But you're talking like younger. I know that the guy, I think the guy was Glenn, it's about 50 now or something. But he looks amazing for his age. Yeah. He'd have no problem with the action parts whatsoever. And could keep that franchise going for a while.
Yeah, I think if they do it, and again it's a big if, and Harrison Ford is to do it. There's got to be that handling the mantle over. I mean, they won't do Nazis, but you do wonder who they will be fighting against. You know, communists didn't work as well, but I think that's probably the only.
With the KKK.
Yeah, it could be. Would that be? Would that get?
You could tie that into the whole sort of the substructure, the Illuminati, mate, innit?
Yeah,
Illuminati, KKK, all that shit.
Well, okay. So, yeah, we'll see if there's going to be a fifth one. I doubt very much that that's going to happen. But if it does, it needs to be in a similar vein to Last Crusade in terms of a sequel.
I believe in it more now than I did for a long time. Okay, coronavirus is hitting stuff, but Harrison Ford seems to actually want to make movies at the moment. There was a long time where he didn't seem to want to make movies or to have anything to do with his past, whereas he's more interested. In fact, it's him that spoke about this really more than anything else. Now, if he's interested in it, that gives me more hope for it, full stop. But I do think they need to play it, you know, same as Last Crusade, but with him being the father instead. But he needs to take more role and be handing it over, I think, to Short Round.
Yeah, I think it's not wishing to quote Munt, and I'm sure he'll join us at some point in one of these.
Oh, quote Moti.
But what would Munt say? Actor wants work. I think you know, one of the big reasons Harrison Ford decided I'm going to get back into this is, can you imagine when the first conversation about Star Wars, the prequels was, the sequel trilogy was, look, we're thinking of doing this. No, thanks. Here's a rather large check. Yeah, when do you want me to turn up? You know,
But he didn't want to. He didn't want to do that for years. No matter what check they were throwing at him, he just wasn't interested.
Yeah.
Let's face it. He wanted to go out in Empire in the first place.
Yeah.
He just wasn't interested in it. And people could cast Harrison Ford in any movie. He can go do what the hell he likes. But he's actually interested in some of his old big franchise. Whether that's for a final payday as his pension or whatever, I don't really care. As long as he's interested. My main problem with Harrison Ford, really my only problem with Harrison Ford, is that he doesn't give a shit most of the time. But if he's giving a crap about a film, I'm excited about that film. I think he knows that he won't be doing most of the action, so he'll bring in somebody good and be doing it, and he can act, and he can be involved in it, and he can produce it, and he can be proud of his work. And that excites me about him doing a movie again.
Yeah, I think sadly the only thing that's going against him is old father time. I'm afraid that might be the thing that ultimately stops him being able to do what he thinks he can still do.
Yeah, it might be the thing that stops us really with this as well, because we're running out.
Yeah, I think on that note we may stop the record and I can edit it. But thank you, Martin, for getting this set up, and you know. Fork you. He likes things.
Hey, fork you, I like stuff.